Hi, everybody. Rivka, Leah here. Welcome to another installment of From Darkness to Radiance. I am so glad that everybody is here again. And tonight I have a wonderful guest. Her name is Jessi. I met her through school. I know I have talked repeatedly about school and all of the wonderful people that I met, and I am doing my best to bring all of them in here because they have amazing stories and I've had such great connections. So I am grateful for her being here, and I look forward to all of you getting to know her a little bit more. So, no further ado, welcome, Jessi. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rivka. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here for sure.
Oh, it's amazing. I know I have spoken repeatedly through the podcast about school and all of the wonderful people that I met. And I had the pleasure of meeting you, I think, in February or March of
Yep.
this year.
Yep.
We went through, it's called Impact, which is one of the personal development events that everybody gets to go through. And I bonded with you. You were amazing. You were just there during very trying times, when we're pushing ourselves. And I was very grateful. So
Mm-hmm.
when I had the opportunity to have you on here, I jumped at it. So I know you have
Well,
an amazing.
I was grateful to be a part of that journey with you as well. That was, all the events are great, but Impact is my favorite. I think that it is the biggest turning point for people, and you really watch people take themselves on. And watching you, really go through that and push yourself through those difficult times was amazing. So I'm really grateful to be able to spend some more time with you today.
Well, thank you. And I know you have quite the story. And, as everybody kind of has guessed throughout this podcast, is we talk about the school and what we're doing. And, some of us, like myself, we've had trauma that has influenced us to become an entrepreneur. And the school has helped us build on that want and need to become an entrepreneur. And you're doing it. You're living the
Oh,
dream right now.
I sure
So
am.
why don't you give us a little background if you'd like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I grew up in Georgia, and unfortunately, I think that more people today have had some trauma in their childhood than have easy childhoods. When we are at the classes, I think that, Todd, he even asked, how many people have had a great childhood, and out of 100 plus people, there's maybe 15 or 20 that raise their hand.
Right.
So, I was unfortunately one of the masses that had kind of a rough upbringing and lost my dad really early. And my mom wasn't the nicest. And, I really struggled with finding myself and finding confidence. And so I left home at an early age, and I moved to California to try to find myself and find the world. And, I did, but it was through quite a journey. And, I started by unfortunately getting involved with the wrong people. And, I love the name of this podcast because I think that for you to find yourself and for you to find your radiance and your glow and your power, you often do have to go through those dark times. And, for me, that involved a lot of drugs and alcohol. And um, I think that sometimes when I look back on those times, there's, I don't want to say shame, but there's some regret. But at the same time, I know that getting through those times is what brought me to where I'm at today. And, so like I said, I moved to California. I came when I was 18 and just kind of got mixed up with the wrong people. And if I'm honest with you, Rivka, that's all I really thought I was capable of being, from being around my mother, who wasn't supportive and told me I wasn't really worth much. And then you find a group of people who are really just going the wrong direction, and it just seemed to kind of fit. That's where I thought I belonged. And I also thought that there was only one way to do work and jobs. I got into restaurants when I was 15, and I thought that that's what I would do for the rest of my life. And to be honest with you, I love hospitality. I I feel like I talked to you about this a little bit when we were at Impact, but
Yes,
like I
we
love
do.
customer service and stuff. You know, I
Mhm.
enjoy doing it. I started as a waitress, worked my way up. I'll get into that in a little bit, but um I think the problem with the mindset though is that I really, once I got locked into one thing, I thought that that was all I was capable of. So same thing with the drugs and alcohol, like that's who I thought I was because that's what I started out as. And in the job front, I started out in hospitality and I thought that's all I could do, you know, like that was the only path for me. And so my life just kind of got out of control and sad and predetermined in my mind pretty early on. And by 25, I had pretty much given up. And, you know, it,
I've heard that from several other people that have been on here where you get into that mindset. It's sort of like a fear mindset because, you know, it's the path of least resistance. It's what everybody has told you. So you just kind of like, yeah, well, I guess you're right. I'm not gonna do anything else and I'll just go with it until something snaps and we're like, okay, you know what? Hey, maybe that isn't really who I am.
yeah.
Um, so
And
was there, go ahead.
even within the restaurant, like, so even though like I would drink and I would party and I would whatever, I was still good at my job when I showed up, right? Like
Right.
I was still I was a good server. I was good with people. And you know, they say that about a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts, that they have good personalities, they just don't know how to direct their energy. But I would self-sabotage a lot. Like I would go on like a string of good choices and be in a good place, and then just like show up wasted one day, or you know, just and I think that what do they say? I think they say this at Insight. They're the two biggest fears in today's society is the fear of failure and the fear of success.
Yep.
And the fear of success is almost as scary as the fear of failure, because it's like once you get somewhere, then you have way more responsibility. When I was using
You
drugs
do.
and alcohol, like I didn't have anything. I didn't have money in the bank, but I didn't care to have money in the bank. I didn't have a car, so I didn't have to worry about insurance. I didn't have a driver's license, so I didn't have to worry. You know, I didn't have anything, so I didn't have to worry about anything. Once you start attaining things, like it's kind of scary. It's like, okay, so I have to have insurance. I need, you know, health insurance. I need car insurance. I
Yep.
need, you know, to make sure that I'm protected. I need, you know, all of these things. And so I think that when I was at that age, like to make the change is one of the scariest things, you know, to like I said, you just get stuck. Like you're scared of failing, but you're scared of succeeding too. And I don't think I would have ever gotten out of that mindset if I didn't have one person that believed in me. And I was very, very lucky that that was my boss. And the same day that he fired me, he literally fired me. And then as I was going on the bus on the way home, he called me and said, you know, I can't take you back, but I want to try to help you. And he sent me to a class that was almost identical to Insight. And it's actually a company that Todd used to work for. And it changed my whole life in 3 days.
So
Um,
so that's impressive that, you know, he obviously saw something. And although he had rules that he had to follow wherever, he really, really wanted to help you.
yeah,
And sounds like that was a huge turning point.
it, I think that that is so necessary, is community. And even if you don't have it where you think you should have it, like support doesn't always look like what we think it should look like, right?
Right.
Like we're expecting it from a brother or a mother or, you know, a sibling or our best friend. And ideally you do get it from those places, but sometimes it's from the person that just fired you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Sometimes, and I could have, in my state of mind, like, I mean, I didn't know where he was sending me. You know what I mean? Like, he's not giving me money. He's not offering me my job back. He's not, you know,
Right.
telling me like he's not making anything soft. In fact, he was pretty rough on the phone, but he was like, I think this will help you. And we can, in those moments, choose one thing or another, right? Like you can choose to say, screw you, you just fired me. Like, why would I listen to you? And
Right.
especially because I had no idea what I was going to. You know, he's like, it's 3 days of conference style seating, you know, a bunch of strangers. And I could have said no, but I was at a point where it was just a choice, right? Like my favorite shirt that I ever wear says everything is a choice. And it's every moment, every day, every moment, everything is a choice. Like you don't
Yes.
have to, just because the last choice you made was a bad one does not mean that the next one has to be a bad one. You can start making a difference right now in this moment going forward. And I was very grateful for any kind of an opportunity, and I took it and ran with it.
That's amazing. And I think too, like you said about support, it is, our family and our friends, if we're lucky enough to have those. Some people don't. But for me, I found an amazing amount of support through school and through all
Oh,
of these events.
yep.
So it sounds like you kind of got a little bit of support too at going to that first event.
Oh, the caliber of people that go to these classes are second to nothing, to nobody. Like,
Yeah.
because it's people that are making a decision to improve their lives and in all different ways. I think that's probably what impresses me the most too, right? Like if you go to, let's say you go to a health conference, right? Everyone is there for the same thing. It may look different, but everyone is there to improve their health, right? So that is, it's like it's pretty direct, right? Like what you're going to focus on.
Exactly.
But with these, there's certain people that are trying to improve their financial health. There's certain people that are trying to improve their personal relationships. There's certain people that are trying to improve their leadership skills. There's certain people, and it works for all of it.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I think impresses me the most. Like in my class that I went to in 2009, there wasn't another person there that was struggling with drugs and alcohol. Like it's not a drugs and alcohol class. It's not a rehab class, right? Like there was no one else that was there for the same reason that I did, but every person there got something. And that's certainly what happens at Insight. You have 160 people plus, and you watch each person grow in different ways. And like we have the one of my favorites is we have a student who is one of the top anesthesiologists in the country, and phenomenal at what he does, but wanted to improve his personal relationships because he felt like that he would micromanage his personal relationships the way he would at work. And I'm like, that's so admirable. You know what I mean? Like you're successful, you're
Yeah.
well known, well liked, you make good money, but you're literally just making a choice to improve relationships with people you care about. And I love what we do and where we go. It's
I actually
there's
think he
nothing
was
like
at
it.
one of my events. I think he was one of my buddies.
I
Um,
think you may have been too.
yes, yes, I think he was at Impact with me, and
Yeah.
actually held me up when I was struggling. He physically held me up one time because that, and so he was definitely working on his interpersonal skills there.
Dude, but that's just a testament, right? Like, and we
Yeah,
become so united and
yeah,
so connected, because I think he went to Influence immediately after that with me.
yes,
And
yep,
like that's when in 2009, I didn't stick in the personal development world completely. I still struggled with addiction for a little bit. I got off the drugs right away, but I still struggled with alcohol, mostly because our society makes us think that that's completely fine, and there's so
exactly.
it took me a couple more years, but I eventually got there. And after I did get sober and then using a lot of the tools that I built my way up in the restaurant business. When I first went in, I was a server. Um, when I got back from the class, I became a server trainer, I became a bartender, a bar trainer, an assistant manager, and then eventually a GM, and then eventually a director of operations of the same company that fired me. So I went from being fired to running the entire company, multiple stores, multiple concepts, and really realized even throughout that although I was successful doing it, I still was doing it for someone else,
Right.
and it if it wasn't for this work, like I love the journey that I had, because by working my way through an industry where I was kind of taught and handheld through leadership, right? Like I was taught a lot of skills. It eventually led me to a place where I felt that I could do some things on my own, and that's kind of what has brought me to where I'm at today, and running my own company, and and just going headfirst into entrepreneurship.
That's amazing. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? And, you're obviously in a very beautiful place because the sun is shining and the weather looks amazing. So you're able to work from home, I'm guessing, full
Yeah,
time
quite a bit. I
now?
we started this off, and you said like you're living the life, or living the dream
Living
life,
the
or whatever
dream.
you said. Yeah. And it really is true. So when I was director of the restaurants, I loved what I did on a day-to-day basis, right? Like I loved the day-to-day actions, but anybody that's been in that industry, it's 60 to 75 hours a week. Like it's a lot. And then not just that, but it's not, early in the morning and you can get off at 6 p.m. Like it's, 10 to 10 or 10 to midnight, like it's your entire day, and often 6 and 7 days a week. So I felt like even though I was making good money, and like I said, I liked the day-to-day actions, I felt like I had no control over my day, my time. And so, I saw an ad online, and just like a lot of people did, and it really kind of sparked my interest. And at this point, I had some faith in myself, but I didn't really know the direction I wanted to go. And I'm going to take a tiny tangent. I would just want to say that, like, if you're starting your entrepreneurship journey, like, it is not a straight line, right? Like, it's not a directed line. Like,
No.
everybody's journey is different. There's some people that hate their job and want to get away from it completely, want to do something completely different, right? There's some people that don't really want to work at all. You want to find some passive income that you can do in the background, spend more time with your family. For me, I liked what I was doing. I just didn't want to do it all of the time. And so I really told myself at the beginning of this that I was going to take it step by step, and that I was going to follow what felt right. Right. And the same way we talked about, support doesn't always look the way we're expecting it to. Your journey doesn't always look the way you're going to expect it to, right? Like the door that opens may not be the one you're thinking is going to open, but still go through it, if it feels right. Trust your gut, trust your head, like follow the next indicated step. And so for me, I really started with something that was presented to me, like a digital agency. It's a fast growing internet way to make money. I make great money doing it. I started doing that and was successful pretty quick, but didn't have a passion for it, right? Like I didn't fall in love. But again, I'm not going to run away, because it's a process, right? And I was making money, and I didn't hate it. I'm just feeling things out. So then, as I'm presenting to someone to potentially get a new digital agency contract for SEO, I was talking, and I had just gotten back from Insight, right? I had just gotten back from the first level of our classes,
Yeah.
and I was at an amazing headspace. And the person I was presenting to said, I'm really good on my marketing right now, but I love what you're speaking about. I love how you're presenting. Would you be willing to talk to my management team? And I was like, sure. Like about what? And he's like, just your headspace, like, how you're thinking, how you're accomplishing goals. And I was like, sure. So I went and I did that. And I got a month-to-month coaching job with him to coach his restaurant managers, right? That I did love. So then I started to develop it on that. Now, at the same time, I go to the second and the third level of our classes.
Mhm.
Each time I'm really honing in my purpose and figuring out, like, what about my day to day I love, what I don't. There's nothing wrong with hating a certain activity and loving another.
Right.
Like even in our household right now, like I hate doing laundry, but my partner doesn't mind doing laundry. I don't mind doing dishes. So like why would you force each other to do the opposite, right? Like you can find win-win scenarios where
Yeah.
you like what you're doing and you're making money while you're doing it,
Yeah.
right? And I know that
Absolutely.
you're going down the same path. And so as that's going on and I'm going through the classes, I'm really realizing too that I'm kind of in love with the content that we're teaching. at the classes, like, and not just as a student, but I'm really loving communicating that to people at home. And I have teams of people at my restaurants under me, and really being able to kind of spread that mindset on, our ability to take our lives into our own hands and really create our own success. And that opened a door that I wasn't even slightly expecting, and I was asked to join the facilitation team for our classes. And that has just been one of the biggest gifts I could have ever asked for, and that's still just it's still evolving now, like the best thing about this is I'm still working right now. The owner that I've worked for 18 years, I stepped away from full time, but I do contracted work with him. So now we had a party of 1,800 at the winery. I worked a 10-hour shift there, made great money, and help out, but I get to do it when I want to do it. So
Exactly.
I'm coaching, which I love. I have a few SEO contracts, which is making money in the background for me. I pick up shifts at the winery when I want to. I get to spend time with my family when I want to. I go to Denver once a month to teach these classes. And, I'm really dictating how I run my life and my time. And it's a gift for sure.
It's beautiful. I do want people to understand that, it is a journey, and, entrepreneurship, it looks different for every single person. And we're not by any means saying that this is easy, but it is focusing on the things that you like and that you love and that really speak to you, because there are going to be some things that you're like, hey, you know what, I really don't like that part of it. And maybe
Yep.
you don't need to do that part of it. Maybe you can contract that out to somebody else.
Yep.
And same with me, my journey has evolved. And, I have this wonderful podcast with an amazing following, and I coach people on the side as well, talking to people who have come through trauma and have dealt with dark personalities and getting their mindset to change too. So you see the evolution of it and you see what resonates with you. And I love the fact that you're able to speak on that, and now you're able to help guide other people down that same path and help them find what they're passionate about.
Absolutely. And I didn't mention this earlier, but one thing that I want to say is, like, you can really get caught too when you're going on your entrepreneurship with taking easy money or fast money, or, what looks good at the moment. And I believe so much in doing things with integrity and doing things the right way, and that is what brings you out of darkness, right? Like, that's what brings you to the light. And so, just a tiny example of that, with the agency, SEO is called search engine optimization, right? And it's where you help someone rank higher on Google. And there's a full science to it, but it works on algorithms and depending on how saturated a certain market is. And so I live in California. In LA, the lawyer market for that is the most saturated out of any market anywhere
Oh,
in the country for anything, right?
right.
And so there are lawyers in LA who spend around 50 grand a month, maybe
Yep.
even more, just on SEO. So even if you don't know how that works, or if the audiences know how that works, basically, if somebody's spending 50 grand on something, if I'm spending 5 grand on the exact same thing, it's not going to do any movement to that, right?
Nothing. Right.
And so I had a lawyer reach out to me and asked me basically to work on SEO for him. And he offered me 5 grand a month. And that would have been around 3,700 a month profit, based on what I was selling at the time. But I knew I couldn't do anything for him. I was writing minimum 6-month contracts. Right. So if I did a 6-month contract for him at 5 grand a month, that's 30 grand gross. So around what, 20 profit that I
Yeah.
could have taken. Right. But knowing in my heart that I wouldn't have done anything for him. Right. And he would have dropped me after 6 months. But that doesn't change the fact that I would have had 20 grand in my pocket profit. Right. But I know that that wasn't the right thing to do. So I told him that. I was honest and I said, look, I can't do that. So he referred his wife, who owns venues in California, who I absolutely could help, and I got a $2,500 a month contract, right? And she's been with me ever since. And so, you know, it's about doing the right thing. And I didn't expect another contract out of that. I was just turning away the money because I knew that that was the right thing to do,
Right.
and so I just encourage people, although whatever entrepreneurship, avenue you go in, it doesn't matter if it's an agency, it doesn't matter if it's affiliate, it doesn't matter if it's, owning a car wash in real life, being honest and doing the right thing and taking the time to make sure that it's an up and up business and that you are, making the correct choices will work out in the long term. That it's a long game. Anybody that tells you that you're gonna be successful overnight with no hard work, with just take, like, it's a lie, and it's not gonna work out for you. It might in the for a quick minute, but it's just not. So I think that owning that and accepting that and really being willing to put in the effort and the hard work is gonna make or break people's success for sure.
Right. And I think that ultimately you'll find it to be much more fulfilling when you're authentic and when you're in your own integrity. Because
Yeah.
when you're not, it doesn't feel good. It
Nope.
really doesn't. So, have there
Well,
been, other than Todd, we've dropped Todd's name several different times, who leads all of these amazing events that we've both gone to. Has there been any other mentors along your journey?
yeah, for sure. So in the personal development world, I actually have two. One that I would consider a mentor, Carla, for sure.
Yes.
Um, Carla is a different kind of mentor for me. She really made me believe in good people.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we have a rough go at life for a while, you can really doubt people's intentions,
Mhm.
and
It's
um,
difficult to trust.
it is. It's
Yeah.
difficult to trust, and to trust that someone truly just wants to help, like, because 9 times out of 10, people that are trying to help are trying to get something in return. And,
Right.
um, you know, Carla was the first person that I think made me believe in good people in a long time. Like, I knew they were out there, but she just was so pure in her intent to help people succeed, and that was really big. And then Greg is another one.
Yeah.
Greg is brilliant, and I think that what I love about him is that he is a calming but powerful force.
Yes, he is.
He is never overreactive, but the way that he talks to people is just incredible. And again, I trust his intentions. And then with Todd just understands people and what they're going through on a level that I've never seen before, and how he handles certain situations with grace is just it's something that makes me proud to be a part of that team. But also, like, it really restores my faith in humanity. Like, I believe in what we're doing. We say that these classes are a human potential movement, right? Like, they're not just a personal development movement, they're a human potential, because nobody in this is claiming to be perfect. Nobody in this is claiming not to have reactions. Like, what we're claiming is that we want to work on ourselves and we want to get better, right?
Right.
And that every day we acknowledge that we don't know a lot and that we want to know about each other. We want to be better. We want to be better friends. We want to be better peers. We want to be better parents. Like, we want to add to the world instead of take from it. So there's so many people that I look up to, but in that world, definitely those three.
Amazing. And I've experienced all of them, going through these events. And, we talk about this being a movement, and it truly is. In the school, going to all of the online
Oh,
seminars and classes, you meet a ton of people. But when you go to these events in person, and, I've been to all three of them now, and I've met hundreds of people in person. Not one person has had the same path that I'm on in building what they're building, or has had, like you said, the same reason for even being there. And we've all come together and we're all there to support each other. And you build a network so that you can actually have this movement. And you have amazing people like yourself who are facilitating it and able to spread it down and pay it forward to other individuals.
We're so blessed, you know. I wish
Absolutely.
that everyone could experience what we do. It changes your outlook on life, you know.
It absolutely does. And, I tell everybody, if anybody does want more information, they are more than welcome to reach out to me, to reach out to you. And we're happy to put them in touch with the right people. So
Absolutely.
I
100%.
want to thank you again for being with me tonight, Jessi. This has been amazing. I could talk to you for hours. I can't even tell you how much of an impact you made at me at Impact. So,
Same,
um,
girl. Same.
So I definitely look forward to connecting again and for seeing what comes out of your facilitator
Absolutely.
future.
Thank you. And I really appreciate the support. I appreciate you asking me to be on. It was nice chatting with you. And yeah, thank you for everybody that's listening.
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again in the future and have a great night. Cheers.
Bye.